Hello, and welcome back to some more OCD. I've got my book. I've got my therapy dogs with me. 1 and 2. So let's go, shall we? Now, if you remember, we're about to start a whole new chapter. So let's go, shall we? The previous chapter outlined how the problem of OCD might develop given particular background factors, and particularly experiences. This chapter will build on this understanding by bringing the focus back into the here and now to help you think about 1. Exactly how you are stuck in a problem that is causing you distress. 2. What are the particular things you are doing, feeling and believing that are keeping the problem going. Excuse me, my back itches. Okay. Realizing that you have a problem is certainly the first step in doing something about it. However, it is not the only step. People with obsessional worries and compulsive behaviours are often told to just stop doing it. See, I get told this a lot by people. Just don't do the thing, Jim. Just don't do it. Randy, was that flipping easy? Excuse me. Or, my other favourite one. Just pull yourself together, mate. Just pull yourself together. That's all you gotta do. Apparently it was so easy. We have never ever met anyone with OCD who did not want with all their heart to just stop doing it. The problem for them is simple. How can they do so? You know, that's why I'm reading this book. Ironically, by reading it out to you, I hope that someone else learns something too. We believe that once someone knows in detail what they need to do and have the right kind of support in place to help them do it, then they can and will pull themselves together. Indeed, that is pretty much the only way to deal with OCD, getting rid of it. With or without professional and other input has to be something which is done by the sufferer through blood, toil, tears and sweat. When people tell the OCD sufferer to stop it, this does not take into account the reason why the drive to carry out obsessional behaviour is so strong. The deep and crucially important underlying meaning that your intrusive thoughts have for you. Sorry, I stopped mid-sentence and carried on as if it was a new one. If it were easy to stop acting on your fears, then clearly you would have done so already. However, there may have been times where you considered your obsessional behaviour in the cold light of day and thought, I know it seems ridiculous, but I really feel like I have to wash, check, do a ritual to keep safe. It's very true. It's like, do you remember the video where I talked about how analog horror has kind of ruined me at night time? And I kept talking about how I thought there was like a mimic outside my bedroom door just waiting to get me now I'm in bed. That's a stupid effing fear, is it not? It's stupid. I mean, those things that exist, and if they did, well, no, not if they did. I mean, they don't. So what's the chance of one actually being there? It's low. But you know what? It's never impossible. So think about that, alright? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean nothing's after you. So why is it that you're continuing to do things that at other times feel unreasonable? That is very true. I've wondered this myself. I know it's a stupid thing I know some of the things I do are stupid, but yet I continue to do them. The key part here is the idea that at other times behaviour seems unreasonable or the worry seems unfeasible. It's important to ask yourself when you're actually washing/checking or doing any of your compulsive behaviours, does it feel ridiculous then? If you're stuck in a pattern of obsessional thoughts and behaviours, the answer is invariably no. It's like, to give a more reality, some close reality, it's like the desire I have sometimes just to wash my hands. So I'll just be sitting, say, on my laptop, minding my own business, and suddenly I just think, this hand feels a little bit sweaty. I should go wash it before I contaminate everything. Is that a bad thing? In theory, no, but yes, in practicality it is, because most of the time my hands are fine. I'm pretty good with hygiene, I think. I like to think I am. I mean, There are people out there who would say, oh no Jim, you're not, you're like the dirtiest person ever. And there are other people who look at me and say, you take it way too far, mate. But, you know, at the time of your mind, sometimes I think, why do I have to search to wash my hands? My hands are fine. They're not even that sweaty, really. They're just, they're just doing stuff. Alright, let's get back on with her before I rant on too much. Generally, the compulsions feel necessary. Doing them feels like a small price to pay to avert something bad happening. Very true. Very, very true. And also offers the added benefit of giving you some relief from the mounting anxiety. It does that too. Next part of the puzzle is to look at what is going on in detail when you're under the power of OCD, and think about how and why the problem keeps going. Responsibility appraisals, beliefs about your thoughts. In chapter 1, we learned that intrusive thoughts are normal and very common. So if lots of people are having the same types of thoughts, why is it so hard for you to just ignore or dismiss these thoughts? This is one of the most important ideas to understand when tackling your OCD. The difference between someone who is bothered by a thought and someone who is not lies in what they make of having the thought. For the first person, having a thought is interpreted as being particularly significant, and it is this which causes both anxiety, an emotional response, and the need to do something about it, a behavioural response, compulsion, or avoidance. Now, before we go on, this book has given me a key idea, so I'm going to read this out first. It is the personal meaning of the thoughts that makes them so unpleasant, anxiety-provoking and difficult to dismiss. It's not the thoughts that are the problem, it's what you make of them. Think about that, everyone, okay? Especially you right now. You think about that. And please do not think about me scratching. I don't know why I'm so itchy tonight. More than normal, I think. Anyway, let's continue. If you have thoughts of violence or harm, it may feel difficult to believe that the thoughts themselves are not intrinsically bad. You just don't want to have these thoughts, and their very presence in your mind makes you anxious, upset, maybe disgusted or depressed. However, it is crucial to remember that anyone and everyone can have these kinds of thoughts. For example, it's very unusual for new mothers and fathers not to have thoughts of harming their baby. Okay. Or of harm coming to it. Okay, that seems more natural. The most upsetting intrusive thoughts are about our worst fears. This is, of course, also true of other types of thoughts, such as those about contamination and safety. Really, we are worrying about dangers which might materialise. In these cases, it is still true that it is what you make of having the thought that makes it very difficult to ignore. Think again of when you felt very anxious and you had the intrusive thought. Ask yourself all of some of the following questions. What is the worst thing that could happen? Oh God, no, you don't want to ask yourself. I never ask myself that because I'll always think of something worse, you know that? Now, how bad it may seem, I think my brain has the ability to think of even worse things that can happen. Just to me, mind you. Next bullet point. And if that were to be true, what for you is particularly bad about that? Every time you get an answer to that question, ask again until you keep getting the same answer. See the example below. Next bullet point. What is the worst thing about having this thought at all? What does this mean about me as a person that I have these thoughts at all? These are all things worth thinking about, people, okay? All worth thinking about. Now let's consider an example. This is the example from the book, not me, by the way. Intrusive thought. Have I left the front door open? Oh God, I know how often I do this. Every freaking time I leave my home. Every freaking time. If you remember the video where I talked about Strasbourg and wasps, you will know that I went to Strasbourg once last year. And when I went to go sleep that night, I had this thought that maybe I had left the front door open. Just as I was getting to bed and going to sleep. I didn't sleep very well that night. It's not as if you can just, go home and check. Funny thing is, I had locked the door. And I noticed because when I was walking to the train station, I got halfway there and I had that same thought and I went back to check and yes, it was locked. Everything was locked up. Everything was switched off. I made a checklist on my front door. I stuck it to the front door and as I'd done each one, I crossed it off. So it was all good. And it didn't help afterwards. Really didn't. Okay. So let's go back to it. Okay. Question. What's the worst thing that could happen? You leave the front door open. Someone could break in. They could steal your stuff. They could dig up the bodies of your dead pets and do weird things to them. They could destroy your memories. Here it just says someone could break in. Question, if that happens, what's so bad about that? Someone could steal my identity. Someone could steal my very memories. I don't want to lose my memories. It's like, I have a hard drive with every photo I've taken, all the ones that have survived over the last 20 odd years. I don't want to lose them. I'd cry if I lost those. A lot, because that's my entire life. What's so bad about that? Well, we know what's so freaking bad about that. That's an entire piece of life, piece of your identity. Holidays that I sometimes struggle to remember. Now, but the photos help. Okay, let's go back to the book. Okay, I'm going to read their examples. Right, we're going to start from the beginning again. I'm not going to interrupt you this time with my own thoughts. What's the worst thing that could happen from leaving the front door? Someone could break in. Question: if that happens, what's so bad about that? Answer: someone could steal my identity. Question: what's so bad about that? They'll commit a terrible crime of which I will be accused. Question: what's the worst thing about that? Answer: I will not be able to prove that it was not me. I mean, someone could easily commit a crime and then say, well, it wasn't me, someone stole my identity. You know I'm right there. Question: what's the worst thing about that? Answer: I'll go to prison where I will be not sure if I should say the bad R word. The fear is that you could go to prison and you will be passed around like a sex doll amongst the other prisoners. Not a nice image. Quite frankly, it's one I could have done without right now when I'm reading this. Okay. Okay, and we're back. That's a little breathing exercise I do when I have negative thoughts. I go. You go. Hello, negative thoughts. Goodbye, negative thoughts. You don't say it out loud because, you're in the middle of a breathing exercise. So you go up and it's like, hello, negative thought. You blow out. Goodbye, negative thoughts. Or if you're in a really bad mood, you can say, F off, negative thoughts. Okay, back to the book. When we keep asking questions such as, what's the worst thing about that? We find out a very serious, frightening idea. You think you're going to be Yeah, I've hit that word again, the bad gang R word. If you think you're going to be forced to have sex with many prisoners in prison, it makes sense to go back and check your front door to prevent that from happening. Very true. The answer to these questions will help you access the personal meaning that the thoughts have for you. It may take a bit of thinking to identify the meaning of these thoughts. Many people just focus on the thoughts themselves and move quickly to do something about it rather than reflecting on the deepest meaning that the thoughts have. However, it is this meaning which leads to responses, even if we are not completely aware of it at all times. Let's think again about some examples of intrusive thoughts, and in further detail possible appraisals that could lead to significant anxiety. In the table below we will show not only the meaning, but the compulsion motivated by the meaning. And you have this cute little table. There you go, you can have a little read up, assume it's readable. Right. So let's go through it, shall we? You have the intrusive thought, you have the appraisal, and the compulsion. So let's do this, shall we? Thought, there might be blood in my food. I mean, I've never really been overly concerned about blood. I've never really thought about it, if I'm honest with you. I know some religions do forbid blood in the food. Well, technically, the main three Abrahamic religions ban blood in the food. Although you still get things like blood pudding. Anyway, what's the appraisal for blood in the food? I could catch a disease and die. This is the most frightening thing that I can imagine. I'll die painfully, slowly, and everyone will reject me. I must make sure that there is no chance of coming into contact with bloody or other bodily fluids. Okay. Compulsion. Check all food carefully for anything unusual or ambiguous. Ensure that packaging has not been interfered with. Avoid anything where I have any doubt about its origin. See, I've not had this compulsion. Or this intrusive thought. I've never really thought about it, so I know some meats do come with meat, blood in it still. At least I presume the red stuff coming out is. I'm not going to think about this one because it's not really something that worries me. Okay, intrusive thought. That is contaminated with germs. Appraisal. I might be responsible for spreading contamination. I will pass the disease to children. This is the worst thing I could do as a parent. I need to make sure this doesn't happen or I'll never give myself nor anyone else. See, that would be a genuine fear I'd have as a parent. Think about it, I'd be a terrible parent because I'd be paranoid all the freaking time. And again, maybe I could beat my OCD and have a kid. You never know. Compulsion. Wash self and home. Make sure that no dirty objects come into contact with objects that are clean. Avoid going anywhere I can't keep track of what is clean and dirty. Wear gloves. Use alcohol gel whenever out. Well, I'm lucky. Though I often have a compulsion to wash my hands, it's not that bad. As is the book is screen, so I'm kind of feeling pretty good about myself. Choose a thought. My appointment is on Friday the 13th. Oh, that's never good. Appraisal. Something bad might happen if I go. This bad luck could last for a lifetime. Compulsion. Change the appointment. Wear lucky trousers to the rearranged appointment. See, my compulsion when Friday the 13th is to not think about it. I know I'm pretty forgetful about things, so I know if I keep myself busy, I tend to forget things. Sometimes that can work in my favour. Intrusive thought. Did I run someone over without realising it? A genuine fear, but I think I'd noticed, a big bump in the car. I remember years ago I was driving through Stenning, or rather that big road north of Stenning. I forget what it's called. It's the one that goes from Washington. Well, it doesn't actually start in Washington, but the roundabout starts in Washington, and the next one is up Stenning, that turning up near Bramber. The road name will be up here right about now, if it hasn't been already. I remember hitting a pheasant there once. I stopped to see if I could see if it was okay, but I couldn't see anything, so I may not have hit it. But I certainly hit something, so I remember hearing the thud. I think if I hit a person, I'd hear that thud too. And I'd probably see him hit my windscreen. Okay, let's go back. The appraisal from hitting someone without realising it is, I could be a killer. Reckless drivers are the worst of the worst. I cannot afford to take the risk. Compulsion. Go back and check. Listen out for unusual noises when driving. Avoid driving whenever possible. Now, I hear a lot of weird noises because my car does make the occasional weird noise. Not much else I can say about that, so let's get back to it. Intrusive thought. Have I left the front door open? I've talked about this before. Not just in this video, but in previous ones. Hey, look, someone could break in and steal everything. Wait, we've done this before, so let's go. We don't want to talk about the appraisal again because we've talked about it. Let's do the compulsion. Go back and check. That's one I always do. Install 6 locks. That's an interesting approach. Spend half an hour each time making sure they're all locked. Take photo of the locked door. Pick up all my posts directly from the posters to make sure no one is stealing it. I'm not that bad. I usually just go back and check and know I'm fine. And then I think today, yes, it is locked because I actually went back to check. Ooh, intrusive image. You have an intrusive image now. Mum dead in a car crash. That's never nice. Unless you hate your mother for reasons, Maybe you like Jenna McCurdy and you're glad your mum's dead. Or you're wishing she was dead. But we're going to go with the scenario where you love your mother. And you have a good relationship. So the appraisal. This could be a premonition. Thinking this means it will happen. Only a bad person would have these thoughts. I need to think something good. If I don't do a bad thing, if I don't, a bad thing will happen and it will all be my fault. Conclusion. Cross fingers and think of a positive image of her happy and well. Pray that nothing happens. Do what I did last time. Count to 636 in multiples of 6. To make sure that nothing bad happens. Okay, I've never been this obsessive. Such things, so I'm going to move on. Image. Abusing a baby or child. That's an image I've never really had and quite frankly I could do without. Bradle, having this thought means I must mean that I am a monster. Make sure that there is a risk that I can never ever harm a child. If I ever did touch a child, I would have to kill myself. Compulsion. Avoid all children, including walking past schools or children's shops. Make sure that I am not turned on running around children by checking for signs of arousal. Jesus Christ, this is really going deep. Someone is having these thoughts and I feel sorry for them. Seriously, people, you have thoughts about children in any weird way, see someone. A good therapist can probably fix it. Maybe even a hypnotist. I'm telling you that for your own sake. There are experts out there who can seriously help you with that sort of thing. Okay, go back to the compulsions now. Also reassurance that I haven't been anywhere on my own. Think back to times when I have been with children, try to remember whenever anything inappropriate happened. But technically, for me, I'm not having these thoughts, so I'm okay. But if I did, I could think every time. I've never abused a kid, so every time I've been near a kid, I haven't. I mean, I know when I do my walking videos, I tend to turn the video off with kids, but that's more, it's not so much more that the enforcer, it's more that I know I say I don't want it to list, but really it's just basic manners, because, someone else even if you have a child and you see someone with a camera, you see them accidentally recording your kid, you don't know who they are. I'm not saying we should be paranoid, but we humans are. And I simply think it's better, not to give people that paranoid premonition. And it's just polite as well. Okay, we're not done with these yet, people. 3 more to go. Intrusive thought. Oh, now we're on urges. I must touch that or I won't feel right. Bro, I could feel uncomfortable forever. I would not be able to cope with this. I must make sure that this doesn't happen or I'll end up in a psychiatric hospital for the rest of my life. Compulsion. Touch it in groups of 7 until feeling goes. Look up symptoms of severe mental illness on the internet. See, this is something I've never really had. I know I said when I go jogging there's this lamppost I just like to, just touch sometimes, but I didn't touch it when I went jogging this morning and it didn't really bother me. I just ran past it, or jogged past I should say, and thought, I didn't touch that today. It didn't affect me negatively or positively. Alright, on to the next one. So jumping from another train. Never had this. Appraisal. I might be crazy, only someone mad would think such a thing. Bold. Never sit near platform edge. Avoid using train. Use 4 buses instead. Although, quite frankly, with most trains you probably are using 4 buses. Probably quicker as well. Monitor other thoughts for signs of madness. See, I've never had this thought. I mean, if I was going to knock myself off, I'd probably do it with pills and alcohol. I mean, jumping in front of a train just seems selfish because you're in pills days for that. Intrusive thought. To physically assault someone. I've never really had this, but I'm not reading these and starting to think I'm not that bad, Because half these thoughts are really dark and horrible. And I'm starting to think that, maybe I'm not so bad. Or maybe the CBT is just generally working with me. In all these examples, having the thought means something terrible. This is unpleasant enough. However, OCD doesn't stop there. You'll note in all the examples above, fundamental process in OCD that we discussed in chapter 2, called taking responsibility or preventing anything bad happening. I must make sure that nothing bad happens, which drives all the compulsions, such as safety, checking behaviours and neutralising behaviours. Now we have another key idea. I'll go through it. People with OCD think and feel an acute sense of responsibility to prevent harm, to prevent something bad happening to themselves or others, and to make amends if they think something bad might have already happened as a result of their thoughts or actions. This idea of responsibility is the link or bridge between the intrusive thoughts and responses to them, particularly the ritualising and neutralising. The sense of responsibility fuels anxiety. People wouldn't be anxious if they thought something bad was happening and they could do something to stop it. It makes a great deal of sense that once this responsibility belief is around, people with OCD feel a great need to perform compulsions, rituals, or safety-seeking behaviours. You'll go on to consider the counterproductive nature of these attempts to reduce the force and discharge the responsibility. Responsibility appraisals can distort your perception of how likely or important or awful something is. And with that, we're going to call it a night because we're coming up to 27 minutes. Right. So what have we learned? Well, what have I learned? I have learned, if I get a bit closer, that my intrusive thoughts are not as dark as they could be. Which is really good, actually. It's like I've never really... Those, like the images of assaulting someone or abusing someone have never really crept into my head. I've never had thoughts like that. I mean, I don't even, if I'm honest with you, I don't even like seeing that sort of thing in films. I remember an old friend once noticed that and they said, that probably means you won't do such things. Which is good. I mean, I can't imagine I would ever do anything like that to someone because I can't even bear to think about it. I mean, the thought to abuse someone has never popped in my head, which I'm very grateful for. And knowing that there are people out there kind of makes me feel sad. You know? There are people out there suffering a lot more than I am. And it puts things into perspective, you know? Makes me realise how privileged I am in a way. I don't just mean privileged as in, you know, I'm a white, cisgendered male in, you know, the United Kingdom or whatever. But, I mean, privileged in the sense that, although I have problems, they're not as bad as other people's. And that makes me really, that actually kind of makes me happy, you know? There's not what else I can really think to say. Other than that, I'll get up. I want to show you my new football shirt. Look, how cool is this? It's Dundee FC. It's the third kit from the 2015-16 season. Now this particular jumper, or shirt, jersey, or whatever you want to call it, commemorates the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Loos, where in World War I, where chemical weapons were first used. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on the connection between Dundee, but I'm going to guess that as they're doing this, there was a lot of soldiers from Dundee who fought in that battle and probably passed on. But it's a damn cool shirt though. Look at, got this in Hammersmith, £7.50. I know. Right. So that's it for me. It's good night from me. It's good night from the book. And it's good night from Jennifer Slopez and Slodan Milosevic. Bye.